Filming horizontal is really throwing me off, but this does feel like the right forum to share some life updates and introduce a new chapter. For those of you that are newer to my page, I'm Mojo. I'm a wellness content creator, Pilates instructor, and also a product marketing manager. I've always described myself as this multi-hyphenate, having 3 different jobs that I juggle, but they each fill my cup in a different way, and I'm passionate about all 3. My plan has always been to juggle the 3 of them as long as I possibly could because, like I said, I do love the 3 of them. But as the saying goes, when you plan, God laughs, and that's definitely what happened in my life. In January, I was laid off from my full-time job. A lot of you don't know this because I didn't share much about my career or my full-time job on social media, but I've always been a really career-oriented person. I've always been super passionate about my work. I've always been a really hard worker. I did all the prep programs. I always got promoted. When I tried to get promoted, I've always just been somebody who worked really hard, and I worked my butt off to get to where I am in my career, and that is something that I've always been really proud of. So getting laid off really stung. My first thought when I received the email, because I did just get an email, not a meeting, not a conversation, just an email, was, is this how Carrie Bradshaw felt when Berger broke up with her on that Post-it note? Because that's truly how it felt. This is a place I spent 4 years of my career at, so it definitely made it even worse to feel like you get this notice in such an informal way, but it's always a good reminder that companies are gonna do what's in their best interests. That was the first joke because I always heal with humor. My immediate second thought was, thank God I have an identity outside of this job. Because I know for a fact, and I mentioned that I've always been a really career-oriented person. In my 20s, I was the poster child for hustle culture. I was working late hours, I was burning myself out constantly, I was staying in roles where I was underpaid, I was staying in roles too long. I just was not in a great place when it came to how much I was pouring into my job, and I allowed my job to be my identity. And it wasn't until I started teaching, and it wasn't until I started creating content that I realized my purpose in life can be outside of my 9 to 5. So I'm so grateful that this layoff happened when I'm in my 30s, and I have an identity outside of that job. I have other areas of my life that I'm also passionate about, and that can give me a little bit of income, but income nonetheless. I'm really grateful for when it happened in my life. And it took me a little while to get there. Like, you definitely go through all the stages of grief. The layoff initially felt embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie to you. It never should feel embarrassing. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. I've had so many friends that were laid off where I've preached to them, don't be embarrassed, there's nothing you could have done, layoffs happen, workforce reduction happens, my company was laying off 10%, like it's not you, it's them kind of thing. I've coached my friends through these experiences, but when it happened to me, it felt so personal. So I had to sit with that for a while and remind myself that my value is not tied to whether or not I work at a specific company or whether or not I'm laid off. So that was big for me. It also, as someone, like I said, who's very career oriented, it hits your ego. Like, it definitely, you feel like if you work hard, if you're a good worker and you do great things and you're personable, that you're invincible from layoffs. And that's just not the reality, especially in today's job market. So it took me a while to process it. I wasn't trying to hide it from you guys or keep it from you. Some of you guys kind of have clocked it in the comments like, girl, why is this vlog on a Wednesday and you're like at the beach? But it's something that it took me a little while to process how I really felt about it. But then the other piece of it is I wanted to figure out what I wanted to do next, honestly. When I first got laid off, I started immediately applying to like 30 jobs. I was on LinkedIn for hours every single day, just blasting off my resume because I was so scared of being unemployed, and I was so scared of like when my next paycheck was gonna come or how I was gonna make money. And then through therapy, thank God they covered therapy through this process, I talked to my therapist a lot, and she really helped me think through what I truly wanted to do next in my life. Not what I felt like society wanted me to do or what my career-oriented self wanted to do. It's like, what do you want to do next? And for me, at the point when the layoff happened, I had hit such a good stride with Pilates as a Pilates instructor, where I was like really feeling like I was growing and I was doing all the right things, and I was truly seeing growth that I had not seen in my career as a fitness instructor, that I thought long and hard about it, and I was like, that's actually what I want to focus on. Like, that is where I want to pour my energy in. So I've decided to take what I'm calling career sabbatical. I do believe I'm going to return to corporate America in the near future. It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, who knows? But for right now, what I want to do is pour into 2 areas that have taken the backseat to my full-time job, which is content creation and Pilates. I want to be the best I can be in both of those areas and see where life takes me, which is a huge step for me. It was not an easy decision at all. A big part of me honestly felt like I was too old to make a choice like that. And that is something that I don't want anyone else to feel. And that's why I want to share more about my journey, is I felt like taking a career break or sabbatical or pivoting or starting over is something that's reserved for your 20s when you're still like getting to know yourself. But the reality is we're all still evolving. No matter how old you are, it's not like your 20s are for this and your 30s are for that, that there's still so much opportunity to get to know yourself better. And I can honestly tell you, I wake up every day excited in a way that I haven't in a very long time. Do I wake up with some anxiety on some days? For sure. Am I scared when the money will run out, if the money will run out? Absolutely. But for right now, I feel like I would be doing myself a disservice to not lean into something that genuinely excites me and I feel so passionate about. So that is what my next chapter will look like. I promise to share as much as possible in case this will inspire anybody else to make a big life transition or to start over. Definitely expect to see me on the Horizontal app much more. I am excited to share workout content, mat classes, reformer classes, you name it, maybe longer vlogs. Whatever you guys would like to see, I'm excited to explore in this chapter and take you guys along with me.